they just let out a passion of blood and killed 1,500 people that were there. And then when 3 days were over, Sholcha Yavam Lahakris Ben Arugim, if anybody was still wiggling among the corpses, they sent out a crier saying, Mi Shanisha Chali Yamud, Kikfar Avlo Macherev. They said, it's over. Anybody, whoever survives, can come out and go away. We're not going to harm you. And they didn't. It wasn't a trick. 300 people had survived the stabbings and the killings. You understand the scene? There were people who strategically, when they were killing everybody, fell under a corpse so that they wouldn't be seen by the others. 3 days they sat like that in July. And they were totally starving and thirst. And many were radically wounded, obviously. Just they weren't wounded, it wasn't a mortal wound. They walked into the city of Tulchin, where the massacre had just taken place, barefoot, naked, starving. And the local non-Jews there, who were Ukrainians, Cossacks, treated them okay, and they gave them food and they sent them on their way. So you never know how things turn out. I say that because it shows you the crazy nature of these kinds of massacres. Similarly, I found in a Ukrainian source, and you never know if they're true or not, but Ukrainian says something very interesting, which didn't exactly agree with what you find Jewish sources, but didn't disagree with it either. Brody was the next town they went to. According to some, here now or later on, they attacked and had a whole violent struggle at Brody. According to the Ukrainian source, listen to this. They ticked the town, but they said like this: this particular Jewish community is very honest. They've never cheated anybody or anything, so we'll let them go. So this is what they have in their own chronicles from the 1600s. So that raises all kind of issues. On the other hand, it might be a lie. So that's the trouble you have when you're trying to sort out these kinds of sources. From there, they go on July 20th and the 2nd of Av, we're already today, and they attack the town of Polnoy. Maybe some people are famous Hasidic center of Yaakov Yosef of Polnoy. So all these places are, as I say, in the same general kind of area. Once again, the town is stormed. The Jews and the Poles repulse them, but one section of the wall is held by Ukrainian mercenaries, and they basically betray they said, we're going to fight, but when the Cossacks come, they put up a weak fight on purpose so they can get in. They take the city, and once again, the Polish nobles have the horses, so they jump on and run away. The Jews are left in the middle. They don't have the horses, and they get slaughtered. And the point is that here in this town died the most famous tzaddik in Poland, that time Reb Shimshon Raster-Polo, who, if anybody's familiar with this, we have a sefer here actually in Shul with a very famous Kabbalist, a Makobel, and a big tzaddik. They say that he foretold all this. That's what he writes in here. They say that he could see with his Kabbalistic powers, let's put it that way, that Holocaust is coming. Vidorash Amr La Magil Fnei Exera, and Malach told him before this happened, Sheyasa Tshuva Gedola Exera Gedol. He told everybody in the town, a great tragedy is coming here, let's all do a big teshuva, and they did. Vidorash Kampam basic and Esther Shamsa Tshuva Al Sar Shlo Tavo, and B'chein also Teshuva Gedola. So it's not like they were in a religiously flippant mood, and in spite of that, it didn't help, and they were all killed because they ran into the shul and destroyed everyone there, and that's what happened. Here he tells a fascinating human story, and that is that I just described to you that this happened today on the 2nd of Av. The particular incident sometime happened in July and August of 1648. That's 9 days. So the 9 days over there was not just the 9 days, it was the 9 days. And if you want to have an idea, he has a remarkable passage I want to share with you of what it's like to be a human being in that time. The author here is living in the next town over, a few miles away. And rumors are flying back and forth. And it's Shabbos. And what do? When it came to Friday night, for L'cha Dodi, we were seized with terror. When we heard that the Polish general is fleeing. And it turned out it was a mistake, but anyway, that's what they all heard. And the bottom line is the Jews go into a major panic. B'cholam nasu l'kolam. And a few hours later, everybody just started screaming and running. Desperation. The Cossacks are coming. Anybody who had a horse and a wagon used it. And whoever didn't have a horse and wagon, even if they had a lot of money, didn't have any time, they just started walking, running. And so here we have, this happened in Zaslav and a few other places, the towns nearby, they just go, because the Cossacks are a few miles away, and what can you do? They left everything in the house, Shavstik, all their money, their food, everything, because you understand, there's no cars. And anybody who had taken things along naturally, some people say, I got a horse and a wagon, let me take at least my most important valuables. But as the panic spreads more and more, they throw everything overboard to move faster. And so you see the whole highway where they're running out of the town full of expensive items that the well-to-do are tossing to try to make their journey quicker. Anybody had books or schara material, they threw it over and they gave it away to run faster. So that was the Shabbos before Tisha B'Av. It so happened in 9 days. So if you were there, you would see Shalosh Shuras Susim Ba'Golas Eitzel Zebarochov Al Sheva Parsos. You would see the whole plain composed of Jews and wagons and walking. How's he put over here? 3 rows of wagons, Barochav Al Sheva Parsos, stretching for 7 miles, right? Roughly 7 miles. Of Jews fleeing on this large area, Mikak Ostro ad Kak Dubno Gedol of Orach. In this area, as I said before, of Dubno and Ostro, it was one long wagon train, but running as fast as they possibly can. And people walking on foot, it was uncountable. And there's every Jew and every Pole, I'm sure, is running for their lives, because everybody knows what there is over here. And and 2 hours after they set out, 3 Jewish riders, Pony Express riders, come from the next town and they say, faster, the Cossacks are right behind you. Why are you going so slow? They're already in Mezrich, like a mile or 2 away. And we were so terrified, he says, that it was a terrible time for the sons of Yaakov, and those for the Jewish people. And everybody really threw anything valuable they had off the wagon. Gold, silver, jewelry, books, pillows, in order to go faster. And you saw, as he says over here, Jews all over the place. Nobody picks up any of this stuff. So it's sort of like what it says in the Tochacha. You're running around, there's millions of dollars all around you, but nobody wants to pick any of it up because you have no time for that. And he says that this is fulfilled, a pasuk that says so on and so forth. Now look at this. Kasm Zomachutz, Yashli Baruch says there's psukim that say a time will come when the Jews will throw their gold and silver in the streets, when nobody will be interested. And some people, he says like this, Harbi Nashim Nashim Halicha B'Neim. This is really tragic. And some people throw their kids over. You think that parents, as the most powerful motive, we should never know such a thing. A total panic, a total fear, it has its own rules. You can't judge anybody in this kind of situation. Harbi Noshim Anoshim, many men and women, Shalichu B'Neim, were taking their kids. When they said, the Cossacks, when the cry came, the Cossacks are right upon us, they let go of the hands of their kids, and they fled into the Yaris, into the forests, and into the pits. And turned out, the whole thing was a false alarm. Okay? In this Osapam, this kind but a pasuk, there was fulfilled with us the pasuk, which it says in the Tochacha, V'nastem ve'ein rodef eschem. A time will come when you'll flee and go crazy, and there's nobody following you. Ki I call you a sheker. The whole thing was not true, and so this whole Shabbos went in a total terror till they found out later on what happened. And he just says they finally got to the next town. They were all starving, and you can just imagine the situation over here. They didn't find out till Sunday that it was not true. and that the Polish army was really there, and all kind of things like this. And there we were, penniless. Many of us lost the kids. You can just imagine the chaotic situation. We slept in the streets, and you know how it is. The locals took advantage of us. Anything that could, help with refugees. We may have some people here, a lot of our parents were help with refugees is not a good position to be, because it's not always true people are nice to you. Usually it's the other way around. So in the end, these two towns did get attacked, and Zaslav and Ostra fall during the 9 days. The Jews end up running away and into the forest. I'm not going to read the whole account. This is something we would think that everybody would do, but unless you're Daniel Boone, how many people know how to survive in a forest? All joking aside. And so within a couple days they're starving, and they have to come out. And when they come out, they get killed. It's not as we imagine. And the result is that you have this tragic story where they, the ones run from the forest, they go back to the town, they know they're going to get killed, but they say, let's go to the Jewish cemetery, so we'll get killed, we'll die in a Jewish place. And this is what happens in Ostrow. These are famous communities. So this is what happened during the 9 days. Then they march on to Constantine, which was once upon a time a big town in that area. Here Prince Jeremy had assembled an army, and he hit the Cossacks very hard. There was a big battle over there. But the problem is that with these Poles, he describes over here, once he defeated them, he looked around and he saw all the local peasants are really on their side. And so he's afraid of being ambushed. And so having defeated him, giving a big blow, he withdrew. So once again, the Jews find themselves without any police, without any army, without anybody there to maintain the law and the order. The Jews are the ones, in other words, who got shafted, and the result was that the enemy was able to seize them and kill 3,000 of them on Tisha B'Av. So here we have this whole period that we're in right now as I'm speaking, from Rosh Chodesh, the 3 weeks, and Tisha B'Av. I tell you again, our ancestors who were a little more familiar with some of the dates over here used to treat this period with a particular, stringency, partly because they remembered these kinds of incidents. Many of the customs, not all, but many of the customs that go with the real super Ashkenazic stringencies of the 3 weeks are connected with this idea that, aside from the fact it has to do with the Churban Beis Hamikdash, it also had to do, as you're seeing over here, with what happened in 1648. Tisha B'Av next goes by. You have the rest of the month of Av. Meanwhile, the Poles under Prince Jeremy, he was the only one over here I keep referring to who had any kind of courage. He says to them, at least that's how he describes it over here, he says, why are you going around killing men, women, and children all the time? What's wrong with you? Let's have an open battle and settle this man to man. And so they agree, and they mass on both sides and have the battle on the 4th of Tishrei, right after Rosh Hashanah. So it gave everybody a respite a little bit while both armies were preparing for a major battle. Here we find the common factor in all these battles. The Polish army had a peculiar character. They were very courageous, but you got to pamper them, and everything's got to be just right. Otherwise, they don't feel like fighting. And he describes it over here also. These are the pawns, the barons, the nobles, the dukes. They like to do it in style. They would come to a battle in golden carriages, and you want your breakfast, lunch, and supper with champagne. I'm serious. And everything should be just so, and you're going to take a bath in between breakfast and lunch after it's a hot day, and you have servants waiting your hand and foot. Once my creature comforts are taken care of, I'm ready to fight like a lion. This is true. This was what was called the Republic of the Nobles, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. It was screwy. And so the result is that they could get battles, they could even win them, but often they frittered away the victory over Narishkeit and Mishigasset, because they didn't have a strong commander who could say, everybody's got to do this or else. They would say to the commander, what do you mean or else? I'm Prince so-and-so, you can't tell me what else. I want my lunch, Or my mother says she needs to be back home, It's her birthday. When birthday's over, I'll come back, and he will fight like a lion. So with this crazy Mishigas, he describes over there that they massed on both sides. They had a big battle, like you saw before. This guy leads the charge of the Polish cavalry. They had the hussars, what these maybe you saw in the picture before. They used to wear wings, and they were in armor, and they were the best lancers in the world, with these spears and things like this. They were powerful fighters. And if you could line everybody up, and as I said before, if they had their lunch and everything was okay, they're pretty formidable. And a Polish charge was hard to break, and they did do it. So on the first day, he describes in great detail. I don't have the time to go through everything over here, but he says, "Archel milchama zeh keneged zeh vayigbram Poland vayekom mehem hadukas Vishnevetsky maka rabba kol yom anal," that they charged the Cossacks and busted them. They broke through their lines and killed a lot of them. And the first day and the second day. By the third day, the Cossacks say to the Cossacks say to the other Polish generals, let's talk about this. Give us a chance to think about this. Maybe we'll make peace with you. And anyway, when Vishnevetsky to become too powerful, he'll become too dominant as a noble in Poland. They play upon the dissension among the Polish nobles, and they say, okay, we'll give you a day or two or three to think about it. Meanwhile, what they didn't know was that the Tatars are coming with a gigantic army of 150,000 to reinforce the Cossacks. Prince Jeremy says, hit them now, kill them all. And the others say over there, these are our own peasants. If we wipe them out, who's going to work for us? And you end up with all these crazy kinds of considerations, which are not exactly associated with General Patton. You understand? These are not exactly the maxims of victory. The maximum of victory is, if you get into a war, don't get into a war. But if you get into war, kill them. You see? Or don't get into a war. You see? If you do it, you do it. That's not how they thought. You see? And so the result was they frittered away this big victory. As a result, Prince Jeremy had to withdraw deeper west, into Poland. And then the Cossacks were able to march into Poland, Mamish. They were able to cross the Great River. Do we have a map there? Yeah, they were across. Until now, everything was over here. Now they move into Poland itself. This is Lithuania. This is Poland. These are the areas of all the Polacks and the big Jewish communities. They go to Dubno, which is the capital in Volhynia, and these are cities with very large Jewish populations in those days. And the Cossacks on October the 1st of 1648, not long after